On the march!
Reading University, a peaceful place where the students and wildlife live together in seeming harmony, until one day, in January of 2011, where the campus played host to an invasion of epic proportions. The invasion started in January of this year, here, where we are standing, at Food Bioscience. An infestation of maggots was found underneath the floorboards, and no one thought much of it until here, later on in that same day, there was a bee protest, where the students' union was disrupted by the buzzing. Students then fled to the library, but were met with an angry swarm of wasps, stopping study of all those inside. Finally, the students made their way up to chemistry to seek shelter, but they were headed off by a rampaging group of ducks who came from the lake and headed them off. That's when the tragedy truly began. Students were engaging in their usual gay activities, eating, laughing, drinking, non-alcoholic beverages of course. Little did they know that lurking in their picturesque surroundings was an invading force on a mission. Political unrest had been growing for some time from the surrounding wildlife, mostly coming from the insect groups situated around the campus. The first group who decided to take action were the maggots, who had taken to living under the Food Bioscience building. Due to circumstances still unclear, the maggots had grown in size, number and intelligence. They had decided to instigate a war. They used their newfound political power to stir up trouble in a militant group who were up until now silent, the Bees of Reading campus. The Bees decided to take their grievances to a source of student influence, the Student Union. We all know the events of that day, but we have an interview with one of the victims who has agreed to return to the scene of that terrible bee protest. What did you first think when you heard the noise of the bees?
I don't know what I first thought. I heard the screams. They came from that direction over there, and there was just mayhem. I ran, and I ran.
What was going through your mind at that time?
I just thought, I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. There's just you just don't elicit thoughts at that point. You just don't even have thoughts when you're in that position.
How's your life been since the bee attack?
I don't have a life since the attack. I don't have a life.
Of course, this was only the first part of the attack. The next part took place in the library. A local student reports. Check this out, right? Alright, we were in the library, and these guys, they came in, and they're like, oh, there's some bees after us! And we were like, what the fuck? But we didn't say that, because, you know, you can't. And then there was just this buzzing, and we were like, oh, bees, oh no, bees. But there weren't even bees, it was wasps, and wasps, they come, and they swell fast. Like, you got the bees, and they're like, boo, but then the wasps like, shoo, and then you throw the books at them, and the books just dodge. They dodged the books. And then we ran, right? We ran all the way over there, you know? Just all the way. People screaming, it's brilliant. The final part of this tragic tale comes not from the insects, but from the other group that the maggots had instigated. The once trusted duck community.
I was in the chemistry department on that day, and I'd heard about the attacks earlier on of the bees and the wasps and the people who had suffered. But I took no notice. I tried to carry on and concentrate until I heard the sound of the ducks. It was this distant quacking, which I didn't notice at first. And when I looked out the window, I saw that they were coming towards the building from the lake. I noticed that they were forming a group and encircling the building, so I tried to make a run for it. But many of my fellow students weren't so lucky and were trapped inside.
For our lessons to be learned from history, here in the archive room we shall see footage of former attacks to see what we can learn. Gentlemen, the film please. The first lesson comes from the bees, who the maggots exploited in their natural paranoia over depleting honey supplies, and instigated the bees to protest the students' union. They had been led to believe that the students were responsible for the overuse of campus honey on toast, a completely unfounded accusation. They used kamikaze tactics to sting and terrorize the students. The wasp has always had a beef with the bee, seen in the Great Buzzing War of 1989, and the maggots exploited this rivalry to provoke the wasps into action. With no political goal in mind, the wasp's attack was simply a rogue attempt to upstage and undermine the bees' protests. Never underestimate the pettiness of a wasp. The final piece in this tragic puzzle, the ducks. Supplied with land by the university in 1921, the ducks had led a peaceful existence despite beliefs that land cannot be owned. Still, we now know they harbored deep animosity towards their human counterparts, and when prompted by the maggot scum, they sprang into deadly action. As of yet, the campus worm remains unaffiliated, but with the conflict between student and worm in the 1950s, we cannot know where their allegiances lie. We who survive must be ever vigilant, and must be aware of the motivations of these potential enemies, who, now suppressed, may rise again, but hopefully, next time, we will be ready. These are lessons of history. Hopefully, next time, we will be better prepared. Stay alert, keep sharp, and remember, insects are not your friends. Since the invasion, the campus has returned to basic normality. The student population is going to trust the wildlife of Reading once again. The insect scum have been mostly suppressed, and the ducks have signed a peace treaty. But are they really our friends? Or are they just waiting to strike again?